They told the military she was just another rookie with an antique rifle. But in 2 miles of open terrain, she became a one-black-woman army. What she did next would make history and expose secrets that could shatter the entire military academy. The barracks erupted in laughter, the sound bouncing off the cold concrete walls as Colonel Thorne zeroed in on her rifle. To him, the vintage L96 she carried looked like a relic, unworthy of respect. He smirked, dismissing her as a rookie burdened with outdated gear. The others followed suit, convinced she didn't belong in the presence of seasoned operatives, but as she calmly polished the barrel, adjusting the scope with precise, deliberate movements, something on the stock caught his eye, an engraving, sharp and undeniable. Laughter faltered. Silence fell like a heavy curtain. From where in the world are you watching this? If this story grips you, consider subscribing for more high-stakes military tales where skill, not appearances, commands respect. Staff Sergeant Aveline Royce stepped into forward operating base Sentinel with nothing but a battered duffel and her vintage L96 rifle case. The stone walls vibrated with distant artillery, a constant reminder of the Khyber Mountains' ongoing conflict. She paused, taking in the scene. 5 elite operators surrounded Colonel Thorne as he demonstrated the latest in targeting systems. 360-degree awareness, Thorne boomed, voice dripping with authority. Thermal, infrared, atmospheric compensation, all built into the scope. The system practically pulls the trigger for you, he added. Lieutenant Cale Draven leaned forward, impressed. Instant response, Thorne confirmed, pride undercutting his theatrics. Aveline moved to a quiet corner, setting her case down. The metallic click of the clasps echoed through the room, drawing all eyes. She felt their evaluation, their judgment. Thorne's posture shifted from pride to something more mischievous. "Ah, our specialist support has arrived," he announced, striding toward her with measured steps. "Staff Sergeant Royce, I presume?" "Yes, sir," Aveline replied evenly, her voice steady, betraying nothing. Thorne's eyes lingered on her rifle case. "Planning to join us on this op?" "That's the order, sir." With a flourish, Thorne signaled her to open it. She complied. The vintage L96 lay nestled in worn foam, a weapon from another era, its condition immaculate. "They told me we were getting specialist support," Thorne declared theatrically. "Didn't mention we were sending antique museum pieces." Laughter erupted from the team. Aveline remained silent, closing the case with deliberate precision. Sergeant Octavia Kane, standing slightly apart, studied her quietly, unamused. Unlike the others, she didn't laugh. "The briefing is at 1800, Thorne resumed, turning back to his team. "Mission: extract a high-value intelligence asset from a hostile compound. Quick in, quick out." "With all due respect, Colonel," Aveline interjected softly, "I'll position on the North Ridge. Best line of sight." Thorne's eyebrows arched. "The ridge is 2 miles out. Our systems max at 1,500 meters. You'll cover the south approach as secondary support." She nodded, returning to her meticulous preparations. Corporal Riven Locke, the team's youngest, edged closer, curiosity outweighing caution. "That rifle's seen better days, huh?" "First deployment," she replied without looking up. "You always this quiet?" he pressed. She finally looked at him. One glance, sharp and commanding, made him step back. "When there's something worth saying," she said. Riven retreated, muttering to himself. "What's her problem?" "Some come here to do a job, not make friends," Octavia warned, moving closer to observe. "That vintage L96 is in incredible condition," Octavia noted. "Thank you," Aveline replied briefly. "Most prefer newer models, digital scopes, custom triggers." "Most haven't used anything else," Aveline countered. Octavia's lips curved faintly. "Fair point," Thorne's voice cut through. "Kane, equipment check, sync comms for the op." Octavia obeyed. Aveline continued her preparations, inspecting every round, loading magazines with practiced precision. As darkness fell, the team gathered for the briefing. Holographic displays painted blue light across their faces, highlighting the compound. Thorne moved efficiently, detailing approach vectors. Compound has signal jamming, Octavia noted. Hence the redundant systems, Thorne dismissed. Aveline quietly made notes in her notebook. Prevailing winds create a 3-5 mph easterly drift, she murmured. Your systems don't account for that. Silence. Thorne's jaw tightened. Our systems account for all variables. Not that one, she replied simply, tension slicing through the room. Riven laughed nervously. What's with the antique rifle? Aveline didn't answer, but Octavia caught her thumb brushing over an engraving on the stock, a silent ritual. Mountain winds are unpredictable, Cale added, trying to lighten the mood. Assuming sensors stay operational, she countered quietly. Thorne's jaw stiffened. This op is planned with every contingency. We've run 17 extractions. One more shouldn't need 19th century ballistics lessons. He turned back to the hologram, ignoring her. Team roles were laid out, Draven and Kane on the main approach, Locke and Royce providing southern cover, Thorne and Devon executing the extraction. Aveline continued silent, her notes precise. The briefing lasted 40 more minutes. At the end, Thorne pulled her aside. I don't know how you got assigned here, but on my ops, we follow my lead with my gear. Understand? Crystal clear, sir, she said, calm, unreadable. Cale's curiosity piqued. Her file is almost blank, like someone erased it. Thorne's gaze darkened. Keep an eye on her. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with. Outside, Aveline found solitude on the base perimeter, hidden from lights. She unfolded a paper from her pocket, her true orders unknown to Thorne. The mission was not what he expected. She refolded it, retreating to the barracks. Sleep was necessary, though unlikely before the storm of tomorrow. Inside, the team whispered as she removed her boots. No hard feelings? Riven asked. Get some rest. Tomorrow demands full attention, she replied. Lying back, eyes closed but alert, she let thoughts drift to the coming operation. Not Thorne's mission, but hers. Her hand lingered on the vintage L96, the familiar weight grounding her. Whatever unfolded, she would be ready. Always. Pre-dawn painted the mountains purple and gray. The team assumed positions around the compound. Silence reigned, broken only by hand signals. Aveline reached her spot on the south approach as Thorne ordered. You really think that antique can hit anything? Riven whispered. If needed, she echoed, calm as ever. Then came the voice of Thorne. All units in position. Breaching team, move on my mark. Cale reported perimeter security neutralized. Then, static. Communications down. All units. Fallback protocol, Thorne ordered, calm but tense. Riven froze. Did you hear that? We need to retreat. You go, Aveline replied, eyes still on her scope. I'll maintain position. Are you insane? Those are direct orders. Her expression remained unreadable, an unshakable calm hiding deadly focus. Sometimes orders change when situations do. Go. Reluctantly, Riven retreated, glancing back several times as he moved toward the designated rally point. Aveline waited until he was gone, then quickly gathered her equipment and moved, not toward the rally point, but in the opposite direction, toward the north ridge she had originally suggested. The climb was steep, treacherous for most, but Aveline moved with the sure-footed confidence of someone who had traversed far worse terrain. In less than 15 minutes, she reached her chosen position, a narrow outcropping offering a perfect view of the entire compound. She set up with swift precision, assembling her vintage L96 and positioning herself with the same effortless skill others might use to tie their shoes. Adjusting her body to the rocky surface, she found the perfect balance between stability and comfort. Through her scope, the compound stirred to life. Dawn revealed what darkness had concealed. This wasn't just a holding site for an intelligence asset. It was a forward operating base disguised as a civilian compound, preparing for action. At the rally point, the team regrouped, confusion mounting. "Targeting systems are completely down," Cale reported, frustration clear as he attempted to restart his equipment. "It's like they've been locked out remotely." "They knew we were coming," Octavia murmured. "This is a trap." Gunfire erupted from the compound, confirming her suspicion. The team scrambled behind rocky cover, bullets whizzing overhead. "Return fire!" Thorne barked. But their advanced weapons, reliant on the disabled targeting systems, barely functioned. "Where's Royce?" he demanded, realizing she wasn't with them. Riven looked around, dumbfounded. A single shot rang out from the north ridge, distinct, deliberate, unmistakably human. Another followed, and another. Each precise, each accompanied by the sound of an enemy body hitting the ground. The hostile fire rapidly diminished, then ceased entirely. Octavia pointed toward the ridge. A tiny figure was barely visible 2 miles away. "Impossible," Cale whispered. "No one can hit targets at that distance without digital assistance." 8 shots, Octavia counted. 8 targets neutralized. Thorne's binoculars confirmed what he could scarcely believe. The figure packed up and vanished from view. From her position, Aveline observed the scene unfold with cold clarity. The ambush had been predictable. The compound's sudden activity, the communications failure, the enemy forces emerging exactly where they could dominate the team approaching from the south. Someone had leaked information. Someone had compromised the mission. She packed up her gear with the same efficiency, then descended the ridge by a different route. The extraction vehicle, a nondescript transport truck, lay hidden in a ravine 1/2 mile from the compound. Aveline reached it first, taking position nearby to monitor any arrivals. She didn't wait long. The team approached cautiously, visibly shaken. Thorne led them, anger and confusion etched across his face. Only when they reached the vehicle did Aveline emerge from concealment, rifle case in hand. Thorne could only stare as she revealed a small device she'd recovered, a signal jammer, precisely calibrated to block their equipment's frequency. Someone had known exactly what to disrupt. Octavia stepped forward, expression grave. "Sir, I just received an encrypted message from command. Staff Sergeant Royce is authorized to take control of this operation." Thorne's face twisted in disbelief. "On whose authority?" Aveline opened her vintage L96 case fully, revealing the stock. Etched into the wood was a crosshair with a star at its center. Recognition dawned on Thorne. "The Deadeye program?" he whispered. "What's that?" Riven asked, confused. "Not what, who," Octavia clarified softly. "The most classified sniper program in military history. 7 confirmed operatives. Over 300 impossible shots recorded." Humbled, Thorne addressed her formally. "Major Royce, I wasn't aware of your real rank." "That's the point, Colonel," Aveline replied, meeting his gaze directly. "Our target isn't who you were briefed on. It's someone else entirely." The revelation shifted the team dynamic instantly. Thorne, once dismissive, now stood at attention. The others watched, stunned. "The extraction was a cover," Aveline continued, voice calm. "The real mission, identify and neutralize a leak within military intelligence. Someone has been supplying classified operational details to hostile forces, resulting in the loss of 3 extraction teams this past month." "And you suspected someone on my team?" Thorne asked, dawning realization on him. "I suspected everyone," Aveline corrected. "Including you." Riven stepped forward, indignation flaring. "You used us as bait." "I used a controlled scenario to expose a pattern," she replied evenly. No one was in real danger. "I maintained Overwatch the entire time." "Those 8 shots," Cale said slowly, awe creeping into his voice. "You neutralized their entire offensive force from 2 miles away." "Without targeting assistance?" Octavia added, voice tinged with amazement. "The Deadeye program isn't about technology," she explained. "It's about transcending it, operating when all systems fail." Aveline neither confirmed nor denied. She turned to the immediate task. The leak isn't on your team, Colonel. It's higher up, someone with access to mission parameters and equipment specs. How can you be sure? Thorne asked. Because the signal jammer was specifically calibrated to your unit's frequency, Aveline explained. That info isn't in standard briefings. Only someone at command level could access it. Thorne's face hardened with understanding. Exactly, she confirmed. She opened the rear door of the transport. We move now. The next phase begins. What's next? Kale asked, still processing. We find the person who tried to get us killed, Aveline replied, and we do it without using any systems they can monitor. The team exchanged glances, uncertain yet determined. They had trained with the most advanced tech available. Now they would rely solely on skill, observation, and deduction. How? Riven asked, finally. Aveline's expression remained unreadable. The old way. Observation, deduction, skill. The Deadeye training, Thorne said, understanding. Part of it, Aveline acknowledged. The rest you'll learn as we go. She gestured to the vehicle. We move north into the higher mountains. Our next target will have the answers we need. Who is the target? Octavia asked as they loaded equipment. Aveline's gaze was steady. Dr. Heron Voss, the man who designed your targeting systems before disappearing 3 years ago. Kale's voice was automatic. Voss is dead. Laboratory accident. That's what you were meant to believe, Aveline said calmly. The truth is far more complicated. As they prepared to move, Thorne approached her privately. Major, I owe you an apology. I made assumptions based on equipment rather than ability. Common mistake, Aveline replied without rank. One the enemy is counting on. The Deadeye program, Thorne said hesitantly. I've heard rumors, but never thought I'd meet one of you. Most don't, Colonel, Aveline responded, closing her vintage L96 case and securing it in the vehicle. Your team has potential. Skilled, dedicated, but they've been trained to trust technology over instinct, systems over senses. And now we need to unlearn that. Thorne nodded, respect evident. We're ready to learn, Major. Good, she said, climbing into the vehicle. Because class begins now. The mountain air thinned as Aveline led the team higher into ranges that hadn't appeared on any of their maps. No technology, only compasses, terrain features, and Aveline's uncanny sense of direction guided them along narrow passes and treacherous slopes. The real target is a former military scientist, she explained. Dr. Harlan Voss, part of the team that developed your targeting systems before disappearing 3 years ago. I know that name, Kale said, recognition flickering. Believed to have died in a lab accident. Official story, Aveline confirmed. The truth, he took critical tech with him, including backdoor access to every system built with his designs. That's why your equipment failed. Thorne's eyes widened. He's been selling the vulnerabilities. To anyone willing to pay, Aveline said, including the forces at the compound. Why weren't we briefed? Thorne asked, genuine curiosity replacing challenge. Because we didn't know who on your team might be compromised, Aveline replied. Sometimes the old ways are still necessary. The team moved in silence, processing the reality. Aveline demonstrated skills they'd long forgotten, reading terrain, tracking without sensors, navigating by natural signs. The Deadeye program, Octavia eventually said. I've heard rumors, but nothing concrete. That's by design, Aveline replied. 7 operators trained to function without technological assistance. The mark is only earned after completing the final trial, a shot mathematically impossible by standard calculations. You made that shot, Thorne said. More statement than question. We all did, Aveline said, eyes meeting his briefly. As they climbed higher, Riven gasped for breath on a steep incline. We trained for urban and desert operations. Not mountain climbing. The enemy chooses the battlefield, Aveline said without slowing. Our job is to adapt. Deadeye principle? Kale asked, helping Riven to his feet. Common sense, she said, often forgotten in an age of technology. By late afternoon, they reached a hidden facility, camouflaged into the mountainside. Minimal guards relying on secrecy. How did you know this was here? Octavia asked. Tracking Voss for 18 months, Aveline answered. He's careful, but he still needs supplies. And communicates with buyers. The Deadeye program operates with autonomy. A reinforced door built into rock, one guard outside. Standard approach? Thorne asked. We need him conscious, Aveline said, circling wide. No alarms? From her kit, she extracted a dart. Old school, Cale murmured, impressed. With precise aim, she used a blowpipe. The guard collapsed silently. Tranquilizer, she explained. 20 minutes. Move quickly. The team neutralized security and breached the facility. Inside, a sophisticated lab, Dr. Voss himself, thin, nervous, surrendering instantly at the sight of Aveline. You were supposed to hunt terrorists, he said. Not me. They promised protection. Your buyers aren't known for keeping promises, she replied coolly. Zephyr and Riven secured Voss while Thorne and Octavia assisted Aveline in searching the lab. Intelligence troves were uncovered, military schematics, communication protocols, and a damning list of compromised operations. 12 missions, 37 casualties, Thorne said, horror dawning. Octavia found encrypted files, forcing the system to reveal them physically. Payments from multiple sources, including our own command. Traitors or pawns, Aveline said evenly, scanning the records. General Whitmore, Colonel Davenport, Major Chen, all involved in funding Voss. Thorne's face tightened. He personally signed off on our mission parameters. Explains the ambush. A video file revealed meetings between Voss and high-ranking officials. Thorne realized the true reason for the mission. Not just Voss, but what he knew. The Deadeye program was disbanded 3 years ago officially, Aveline said. Some threats can't be handled by drones or computers. There are shots only humans can take. With Voss secured, the team prepared to descend. The sun set, painting mountains in long shadows. Now what? Riven asked. Bring this evidence back, she said. The right people need to see it. And who are they? Thorne asked. Not as high as they think, Aveline said. Secure protocol exists. Evidence goes directly to the Joint Chiefs. Voss warned them of bigger threats. Fully autonomous combat systems eliminating human error. Your Deadeye program? A relic like that rifle you carry, he said. Aveline didn't respond. Focus on the path. Octavia noticed her hand instinctively move to the vintage L96, protective. Back at base, Riven asked her to demonstrate tracking wind variables manually. Aveline smiled. First lesson, technology breaks. People adapt. Evidence led to arrests of 3 high-ranking officers and congressional investigations into Voss's autonomous weapons program. Aveline continued training the team in Deadeye skills, breathing with the earth, using instinct, relying on themselves. In quiet moments on the base perimeter, Thorne approached her. I owe you an apology. No, you don't, she said. Trust the systems you were trained to trust. I judge you by equipment, not capability, Thorne softened. How many recognize the Deadeye mark now? Fewer each year, she said. Which makes passing on the meaning all the more important. And what does it mean? Some skills can't be programmed. Some instincts can't be replicated. Some people don't need recognition to be extraordinary. A week later, new orders arrived. Another extraction, parameters set by Aveline herself. Team trained with both technology and fundamental Deadeye skills. Riven approached, rifle modified with manual backup sights. Just in case the system fails. Aveline nodded. Adapt and overcome. Kyles asked, where are the other Deadeyes? Doing what needs to be done. Without recognition, Octavia said. Without need for it, Aveline corrected gently. Thorne watched, seeing his team transformed from overconfident tech-dependent soldiers to resilient operators. The mission ahead would test them, but now he was confident. Sunlight glinted off Aveline's worn L96 case as they departed, the leather handles smooth from years of use. If you were in Aveline Royce's shoes, could you have taken out an entire enemy squad with just a vintage rifle? Comment below your answer. And don't forget to subscribe to Black Nation Strength for more jaw-dropping stories of skill, courage, and Black excellence.